a rock-solid talisman of this squad. And now, and meanwhile, EF are pushing up on the long side. It's that man Xantares who opens up both his account twice to the P250, and in doing so, A site has fallen for the most part. D has stuck on elevator behind the smokes, but already 3 of his compadres have been put down around him. And realistically, what could he or Spinks possibly achieve from this position? It's gonna have to be kills thick and fast, but instead that smoke will be clearing. Spink stuck down in the CT side. It's not as if either of them have catwalk control right now. Deha surviving for much longer than anticipated, but it's even going to be the... Oh, hold on a second, Madden though. Madden is such an important trade, and he's going to come out second best. Here's Xantares, sprayed up through the double doors.
That was Spinks coming to the rescue. And Spinks finally will fall. That's a B-bomb side defender getting taken down, and Madden being down to 26 HP. Does he want to take this duel? A random bullet through the smoke could find him, and is doing trying to put in a few bullets through the smoke, but it's still a 2v4 heavy man advantage here for the side of ENCE.
Shoulder peeking, forces Voxic for the shot. He has to fall back now. Goes back in. The flick is good. Do not peek these two players one by one, and you will get punished. Voxic now is all that remains. There's too many angles, too many targets to come up again. He can hold position. This is looking like a very scary crossfire, but a flash affords them safe passage for 2 entries. Diha's able to muster up the strength for 1 and add a second to the mantle. Very important double frag from the Polish player.
They have the bomb, then they will retrieve it immediately using the smoke picked up from one of their fallen comrades. So utility still with Eternal Fire, a couple of Molotovs, 2 smokes, no flashbangs, however, and they have full reign of mid. You can see Spinks is not feeling super comfortable just pushing in and getting information, and D has just spotted 1 player towards A long, right? So Spinks smartly is going to be rotating back towards the B bomb site, playing on the side with 30 seconds remaining. It is kind of clear that Eternal Fire will be heading towards the B bomb site.
It's unlikely to see any flashes come into play here. Spinks with 1. It's a labored spray for the second. If Madden just gets like a 1-for-1 trade, Spinks is still going to be activated, you have to feel here. Or pardon me, not Spinks, Snappy, who was on the long side. Spinks that died earlier in the round, of course. 30 seconds left, and now Molly gets tossed in from Madden. So deny the bomb plant, but Emor removes the head. I say deny the bomb plant. That was on the assumption that Madden can stay alive and put pressure down, and now Emor goes from strength to strength, from frag to frag. Deha keeping the dream alive, keeping this round in the scales, but it's been removed. And the scales tipped down.
Double doors here, Vincent, with 35 seconds. They need to make a move.
Oh, pulling a nade out. That's so brutal, but Emor gets both. How? He had no right to get both kills.
Round's done. Or maybe not. Okay, Deha, he finds a kill. That's a bomb drop, and now it's a 3v3.
Kill's huge. It takes a couple more seconds to pick up the bomb and make a run, and now Woxic with the AWP of all weapons up close. Is he going to go for some no-scope shenanigans here? We know he's very capable of doing just that, but he misses the chance, and Snappy punishes him. But in comes Snappy to run into the embracing arms of X-Floud in lower tunnels. And now Emor, he's already had so much impact, 34 HP left on his name, but still takes down the head of Hades, who was caught unsuspecting. Deha now desperately needs this clutch, but he comes out second best.
Rifle even at times, so kind of sucks to see it not really being used much nowadays, including the UMP. There's a bit of damage being dealt here by the pistols and the AK. They're making this expensive. The round is done. They have no kits to work with, but they're making this very expensive indeed.
I'm surprised they're even getting close to this one. I just assume that because it's max round loss bonus is around the corner, it was a scout and a deagle, but that's the problem. It baited Deha in, and that's an AK-47. Down into CT, flash out through, but Hades will get the upper hand onto Xantares. Finally, we're starting to see some of what ENCE have in store, but now Calyx goes in and removes the head of Snappy.
Oh, that's the A bomb site completely cracked open. Eternal Fire have so many options available, but time is not necessarily their friend. 35 seconds on the clock, and now Deha, I love this from Calyx, is trying to sell this. He's trying to sell this fake, leaving only Sphinx by his lonesome, and he has to stand tall on the B bomb site.
He's also not sure if mid's going to get aggressed on as well. Now he can fully focus on this. He's got a teammate holding the middle angle. Emor on low HP once again comes out swinging and connects square on the jaw of Sphinx. On the cross, Woxic has it locked.
Paper rankings wise is FaZe, and they actually have one of the easier groups to ENCE. So for them to kind of, it's still very early obviously, but for them to kind of be struggling quite a bit over here. It's a bit of a worry, and that shows that they aren't exactly as unbeatable as some people might feel. That being said, though, it's a 2v2 right now as Dia running into the flames. That's for ENCE, and disadvantage. They have to hold on here. You see the CTs now slowly grouping up together. Smoke the pop. No, actually gonna go for the dry swing there. The flash, though, doesn't blind player. Dia tucked in. They knows another player nearby. Molotov will flush them out. That's a bomb out in the open. And all the CTs have arrived. Spinks, unfortunate to not get the kill, but now it's a 3v3 as Dia's gonna find one alongside Madden, and it's all on Woxic.
Another clutch. This time he's got the AK. This time it's a little bit more doable. But there is Dia on the...
He's got backups well nearby, but his smoke is keeping Dia at bay. So it's got to be Spinks doing everything by his lonesome, as he will find Calyx.
Oh, such scrappy flashes and nades being tossed out from Eternal Fire, doing more harm than good. And ENCE, not only have they cracked open the site, they haven't lost any plays. They can trade up all of these guns now. Eternal Fire are in the bin for this round. They have to go save. And they're going to be caught at spawn as well. They've got Hades to run into. Scout in hand, but he's missed his chance. And he will be splattered as a result, but there is more where that
on that particular position. So even though Woxic had managed to kind of extricate himself from the long position, he was just caught in the crossfire alongside his teammate. And from then point on, the round's done. Site's lost. Clean round for ENCE. Eternal Fire, though. They do have those saved weapons to work with. I say that one of the weapons will be taken care of. And a 5-7 from Xantares and a scout from Woxic to answer back. Woxic would get another kill with the scout. And a third as well. What is going on?
Madden's still alive, still got a chance, but 9 HP to his name, and he gets blown up from Xantares. A worthy opponent. Now the nade's coming in. Flash is good, forces Xantares off the angle, but he's still alive, still a threat with the AK. Not for much longer. Spinks has dealt with him and turns his attention over on the long side and forces away Calyx. They still have Woxic, though, in play with the Molotovs firing around him. They can't deny the bomb plant. Oh, timing, but D has not been punished. It was a deagle as opposed to one of these rifles. He may get caught in the back again here, but it's a USP this time. Down to 25 HP, somehow still alive, and somehow surviving to take another life. But Calyx doubles up with his AK, makes this a little bit more costly. If Madden was to peek out in this angle, he'd probably be fragged down from his left-hand side. Multiple players tossing through, but he can't escape. I expected him to underarm that Molotov just to stop the push coming in. Good shot from Woxic, though, holds the line. And while Molotovs have been put in position, they've been smoked out. And in doing so, Woxic has to retreat. He has to relocate with this AWP. Peeking back up again, missing his shot. And that will be the bomb now being planted down. Spinks with an important frag, and he will come out ahead. It's only 2 AWPs remaining now on Eternal Fire. Eventually, they're going to have to start going for some of these rounds, considering their economic situation. That's why Emo may be pulling the trigger on this aggression, but it proves to be his downfall. Woxic's still alive, with a kit as well. If he can get this next kill quickly, there is a way forward for him, but the flick, not on point.
Picks towards the B tunnels, and this time around, he's going to find another one. Yes is the answer, as a danger man for the side of ENCE will fall.
And how much more can Emo do here by himself? Like, he's just having so much impact. That's a great grenade. Touchdown, 50 damage done to Diha, 39 onto Hades, $300 well spent, and Xantares softening him up through the smoke, but it will not stop Diha from connecting the headshot. The flash is good, and Emo's picked up another 2! This guy cannot miss right now.
I have no idea how Emo gets the second one. That's just ridiculous. Hades walking in through the smoke, trying to be cheeky, leaving it all on Snappy. The captain.
He's curving bullets now, apparently. He can do it all, can Woxic. And he may be called upon to pull another rabbit out of the hat. A bit more magic left perhaps in his wand yet, but it could be Xantares that makes the entirety of ENCE disappear with this AK. In the meanwhile, 12 seconds to play with this Molotov now is just coming to a conclusion. Not sure how that didn't land. Looked dead on. Sent the mass, but Spinks is going to get traded out. Bomb plant just in the nick of time. And with 10 HP, Diha has the chance to be a hero, but Woxic. But they fought back, and ENCE have then matched them, and they're going to be picking up the pace here. Molotov in, Xcloud has no real chance, but now Woxic is going to join the fray. Remember, from this position with the scout, he went ridiculously huge for his team. He's picking up more kills. Emo elsewhere with the MP9 makes short work of one, but gets traded back again before Snappy activates with the AK. Diha down to 28, though. They do go in for the plant. And now with smokes dwindling, a bit of damage is done. I say a bit. He's been dropped down to 21 HP here, Snappy, but Diha holds his position. Molotov thrown out onto the doors, and Zantares just with a deagle and an AWP on top of it, maybe looking to save.
To find an Emor, the demon is going to be haunting the nightmares of ENCE. He's still alive here towards LT.
He's gonna get one, sprays in for a second and spills the bomb down. As has so often been the case, Emor comes out clutch when it's required, and Madden is gonna get pincered and overwhelmed. Spinks in a 1-on-5. Molly tossed in, bomb spilled out, and there's Woxic. We head to OT.
What a round. What a round from Woxic and Emor. Firstly, Woxic with that boost, able to decapitate
100-0 Blair, purely off utility. Molotov, and then the shrapnel of the HE. Emor will not miss these chances. Gobbles up the kill onto Madden. Molly down to stop any re-engage. 20 seconds to play with. They know B site is very likely going to be the target. Another Molotov down. Just stagnating and stalling this push for so long. And suddenly Spinks is all that remains with 10 seconds left on the clock. Now being tossed out. Smoke onto the doors. Another molly tossed in. Really important timing for that smoke to connect. Otherwise, Spinks would have almost guaranteed been dead. But he's dropped down to 6. Somehow still survives. Another molly tossed in. But Eternal Fire going to have to start to pull the trigger and get in here. Hades all that remains now with the AK-47. Has already sprayed in for one and misses out on the second. Is there going to be enough time, though? They do have a kit. It's down to the last few milliseconds. But can't take anything away from how he's played here, even if they were to be unsuccessful. ENCE in the meanwhile, though, Spinks missing the shot, but Molly down, flashes in there. Spinks goes back in, and Diha through the smoke perforates onto Xfloud. A good hold from ENCE after losing the first player. Eternal Fire have to push through the smoke now if they want to get onto the site anytime soon. And Diha is continuing to turn in for kills. Gets burnt to a crisp, but Woxic in a 1-on-3. Close combat AWPing, missing his chance. 24 HP remains now as he's being gradually whittled down. Keep in mind, he's their IGL as well. Like, he's carrying so much on his shoulders. Calling, fragging, entering, everything you need. And he may be called upon one more time, but Spinks will put an end to that. The rallying cry comes out from ENCE. And now Eternal Fire stuck behind smokes, are losing players at an alarmingly fast rate. Xfloud and Calyx remain, but Xfloud has found the head of Diha at least, and they know a second contingent player was up on Goose. However, that is Spinks, and Spinks has really come alive with the AWP in this OT. Flashbang is good, and the follow-up damage is there as well. ENCE have got it. It was a marathon. Some delicious Julies potentially to dismantle ENCE on the approach. Here comes the grenades, and Emor gets one, but does get traded out. Calyx and Zantares, though, both come in as well, and Spinks, it's labored. He does get the kill, but it's at the cost of his life before Hades comes back in with one of his own. He's been tanked down to 72, but still has a chance here. Knows where one of these two players are. It's about the second player. There could be a bit of a problem, and Woxic's about to show his hand, and he's about to close the eyes of Hades in the pit. Yeah, and I feel like on the T side, Molotovs are so important as well for executes, especially on the A side for this reason. Emor now is not going to be affected, stuck on top of the hut. This feels like a foregone conclusion now. You have no flashes, no smokes, no mollies to push out on the site with. It is dry, and Spinks on 8 HP will be the final player left. And I don't think he's got too much left in the tank. We'll have them dead to rights if they push into the lobby. I feel like Emor may have missed his chance, his window of opportunity, but speaking of which, the windows have yet to be broken. So that is a sound cue that will give away this play, and now he knows. But is it too little too late as they get caught in the open? Diha down to 25 HP. Emor now will be punishing Hades, and even though they got that trade outside, everything else has just come apart at the seams. Eternal Fire just in such fine form. The first 5 rounds. And with smokes down, even though the deck may be stacked in favor of Eternal Fire, this is still going to be a rough retake to look in for because they could be tripping over one another. HG out with a flash as well. But this SG could go above and beyond. Hades finally gets a kill alongside Madden, and there's another one. Everyone falling down on the approach now from Eternal Fire, but Zantares tries his best to quietly drop down the vents. they may have no idea that this is a possibility. Yes, it was smoked, but Calyx was stood right there. And although Woxic may have got the first, he would have been swept anyway, and Madden just puts the bullet in his head with a Galil. Hades turns the knife, and it looks as though ENCE will be doubling up their round tally and 2 rounds on the bounce. Xfloud maybe do a bit of damage on his way out, but man, some of those entries, Blair, were lightning fast.
The belabored battle. Weapons, they still have so much cash to work with.
Yeah, that's just how comfortable and easy it was for the first 6 or so rounds, but they have lost the more from Madden. A man possessed, a man aggressive, and Calyx, though, will stand his ground. Valiantly sweeps aside 2, giving Woxic a chance now to clutch the rest as he goes round the silos, should get the backstab in, but Snappy has snuck his way down to the B site. 70 HP remains, but he's in a 1-on-3. Just changing the angle of the door gives him a little bit more cover. A hit and run. Knowing where one of these players are, spots the second, but Xfloud will not miss his chance. And Eternal Fire have stabilized once more.
It back. Outside control, as you said, firmly with Xantares, but Snappy has snuck his way inside control rooms. So this is something to work with. This is some information they have to work with. But the only avenue here, seemingly for ENCE, is to come in from a ramp position. It's Snappy trying to catch Xfloud off guard, and now he knows the jig is up. He knows where they're coming in from. He's going to find 3, almost the 4th as well, as Xantares will steal
from ENCE in the past doesn't lie, and yet they've been made to look like a very ordinary nuke team so far as they look to explode out, courtesy of Snappy with a Tech 9. It could just be the run and gun that yields another round. Snappy gets 2, but they didn't check their angles. Calyx now, he goes in for 2 of his own. And Madden's the last man standing, not for the first time in a clutch. Will be vent diving, drop down to 47 HP. Still tons of time on the clock, but he's just going to make a beeline for the site and look to try and plant. At the very least, that'll be ticking forward that economy and gives him a chance now in this post plant behind the smoke to try and do something. He's being tagged up though, down to 43, but he's managed to bypass this angle. Xfloud may not be anticipating this now. He knows where both players are. This is winnable for Madden. First frag down, leaving Woxic all that remains with the opening, peeks in and takes down Madden anyway. The audacity to go for the re-peek. An Eternal Fire have dialed in their 10th remaining. You'd expect one of these gets tossed into this very angle, which it has. Another flashback out as Emo looks to try and pivot in for a kill. 31 HP becomes 0 as Madden on the peak takes him down and the vent dive comes in. So often they've got into these positions with 1 or 2 players remaining, but now they should have more bodies. Or I say that, but Xfloud is putting him to bed right here. 46 HP remains for him. 2 players cross. Hades takes his head clean off, but Xantares is still there. And Spinks is all alone for quite some time because Snappy is still outside. He's in no position to help his teammate out, and he's going to have to run out into the open. Calyx should have him. It's another scrappy, dismal round from ENCE. Dead and buried this round look just a few moments prior. They have decent post-plant positions as well. Spinks can play off Hades' contact or vice versa here. Time already dwindling, about half of the fuse remaining. Hades has lost his teammate, sprays in for 1, but there is Calyx and another.
be a real challenge. This is where to show that what we said was true. This is where we get to see what this defense can do for ENCE. And speaking of defense, Hades is doing everything by his lonesome, seemingly. They're just going for the dry swings, the dry fights. And at that range, the AUG, it's going to come out on top.
Yeah, tailor-made for those kind of angles. Interestingly, you took the SG on the T side, now the AUG on the CT side. So, all about the scopes. And yeah, ENCE, the CT side, we know it's a known quantity how good it is. Is it good enough, though, to come back from this deficit? So far, so good. Eternal Spinks keeping the MP9 even though he had 6,800. When you're this close to defeat was an interesting decision. Emo in the meanwhile, though, 16 HP has been finalized from Snappy's downstairs, but Snappy on the receiving end of Calyx's AK. And that could open up business to the B site. Dha, though, has at least came back with one of his own. But it is going to be a post plant. Meanwhile, Woxic, though, comes out second best in that spray. Hades really shouldn't be getting the upper hand from that angle. But now Calyx and Xfloud, who had so many big rounds on that CT side, have to go above and beyond once more. How many times do we see Eternal Fire successfully retake the B site? Spinks, in the meanwhile, though, will finalize onto Calyx, who was low. And now Xfloud at least has the bomb plant for his position, but they must expect this one as the spray is in, and neither of them were checking decon. That is an area that where it counted. Now Madden from above, solid damage. Diha gets traded out from Woxic, but xFloud is turned away before Emo makes moves up on Heaven. They have no idea about this one. Emo's biding his time. Spin around from Madden, but it's too little too late. Now the spray's good. So much damage done to Hades, who's finished off. 2-on-2. And ENCE with 25 seconds to try and deny this bomb plant. A low Calyx is finalized, but Woxic is still in with a chance. 15 kills to his name. Spotting the first player on main. But now here comes Snappy in the meanwhile. Gonna go in for that wide swing. Woxic removes him, but there's the wall bang from Spink. Oh, this could be going on a little bit longer. Hades finding some purple patch with that deagle, but Calyx, it was a monster on the CT side, showing that that was not a fluke, that this T-half is just as solid for him. 50 seconds on the clock. Bomb still under control on Eternal Fire, and they're looking to try and make something happen through on the ramp side. Meanwhile, Calyx is anticipating that maybe some rotational play comes in. Try and catch one of these CTs as they go in for these plays, which is a wise decision. They still have time to use here. Molly down, but it seems like it's more of a ruse. D-Hat, though, splatters Calyx with the deagle, and Woxic gets dinked down to 9. And considering there's a Galil in play in both the remaining ENCE players, that should be good enough to yield this round. Woxic going to be caught, and that's put his team in a very awkward position here downstairs. All 5 players healthy, all 5 players hungry to get this map finished off. Hades, though, is going to give them a lifeline, which is taken away from Emo as he flatlines Diha with his AK, still in position, but will be coming out second best. Xantares there as the strength in numbers approach comes in, and Hades with it all to do. 1-on-3 with the AWP, and Xantares puts him down. Eternal Fire have just exploiting the short lack of presence, but not getting any kills so far. Pushing into the site, Emo holds the line for 1. Does spill the bomb out, but it's now going to get planted down all the same from Sphinx. And with smokes in the eyes of Eternal Fire, they can't do much. I say that as Woxic puts a bullet in the head of Sphinx, and that awry bullet is going to give them an advantage on this retake.
Huge advantage smoke room as well, but smoke is not on the bomb, and that means they have to go for the wide swing, and this is messy. Oh, this is so messy from ENCE. Emo and xFloud to just chip on in, and Snappy left alone. Called in that they are a little bit vulnerable. Molotov if it extends, Snappy's in trouble there. It won't, but now Emo is going to take the opportunity to try and pick this one up. Bomb's been spilled down, and Xantares goes in. And in fact, the molly did extend in the very last tick, and that finished off Snappy. So D-Hat in a 1-on-5. And I tell you what, if Eternal Fire pick this one up without losing too many casualties, they are off to a cracking start here on Vertigo. Diha, all eyes on him. 98 HP is already taken care of Emo. He has the time to work with and the bomb. But Vince, this is going to be a gargantuan ask of him. And there we go. The timing doesn't quite pan out. And you said it, Vince. Sure, they lose a 1.
Making moves in. If D has spotted and fragged, they will still be uncertain as to a second player's presence, and that allows Hades to go for the wide swing, but he comes out second best. D-Ha now in a spot of trouble. He's got players above him, one on CT side, bombs ticking away all amongst this now though, but D-Ha shows his hand and he pounces in for 2. It could be a 3rd as well, but Woxic will be able to deal the fatal damage to him. Does have a kit, does have a bit of time to play with, but now he may have run out. Sprays, but does damage, but no kills, and goes back in for more. They still have yet to get this plant down. Snappy runs out of ammunition, whips out the deagle, is doing fatal damage, picks up 2 frags, and now Sphinx picks it up and tries to run away with this round. Good kill from Calyx, though. He's keeping ENCE honest. 2v2 on this retake.
No kit, no smokes to work with for the CTs as well.
Still stuck on the sandbags. Stuck on ramp. Calyx is thinking about going for a rotational play. That lack of kit, though, as you highlighted, could be the determining factor. And now Sphinx capitalizes onto Calyx and forces Xantares to proceed this peak. It could be curtains for ENCE as they go around slowly, and Xantares will show his hand, but it's snatched away with a flashbang. Runs out of ammunition, runs out of health, but Woxic's there with the AWP. Is keeping ENCE in an awkward position as he falls back. Still 4 players on the CTs remaining with 20 seconds to spare. Madden will be forcing the plant down. There's no grenades to deal with him either. So not only will he get the plant, the Molotov was too late, allowing him to back out of there. But they do have xFloud. the ace up the sleeve, the ace in the hole to try and pounce in, and he'll do just that. Leaves Madden in such an awkward position, and Calyx will finalize. So they do concede the bomb plant. Blair, either way, thank their lucky stars that they didn't get nailed by that AWP shot, because now 4-on-4 with a potential take, they have sped up the process. 50 seconds on the clock, and Eternal Fire seem to have a very good read of the situation. Multiple players stacked over here. Smoke on side, but Emo's playing behind it. Flashes are good, but Calyx's spray lets him down. Emo tries to go in for two, but it's only one. And Azentaris has been split apart as well. Woxic missing a very important shot. Gets the second though. Now D has less alive. He knows he's on the site and just flicks up.
They can't afford to give this one up. Spinks, Mac-10, Snappy, the captain with the utility. The solitary smoke they have at 2 flashes and a deagle. Hades with the AK. It's a group up together, heading towards the mid position. And it's all about timing. Xantares, he's falling back. He's starting to suss them out. And I think he's got an inkling. With 30 seconds, they need to go for the play. Xantares, he just turns away. But now he knows, he hears them. And he's going to find one. Not the second, though. Snappy shouldn't be able to win this round. And it's all down now to the final between the star. And they have a third member as well to help them out. A flashbang to enable Xantares to get the boost and maybe catch someone off guard. But there was everyone tucked on in, and they heard the drop down, Vince. They're going for the wall bangs as well, but this is uncomfortable for Eternal Fire.
This is really uncomfortable. They do have 2 players, though. Xantares, pixel perfect on his aim. He's looking to try and give some free haircuts. Gets 2. And now Spinks gets 3 of his own. And losing minimal damage in the process. Is looking to go above and beyond, pick up a 4th if he can. DR in the meanwhile, though, going to be going for the peak, and Spinks does secure his 4K. Beautiful
smoke. So maintaining the man advantage for his side.
Xantares has gone down, though. He's been typically a huge bastion of hope. Emor in the meanwhile, though, making short work of DR on the approach. And although flashes do come in, he's able to relocate up close. The smokes give him the luxury of being able to fall back as well into his teammates' arms, but it's Snappy that rips him apart. Minute left on the clock, 2-on-3. Molly down into the site to try and stall this a bit longer. But there are counteractive mollies also tossed into the generators. Stops X-Cloud from peeking the left-hand angle. So Spinks can feel comfortable going for this full-on plant. And Snappy has his back covered. In terms of the utility, there's only a smoke between the 4 players here, but Woxic has alleviated the pressure. The spray nearly puts off 2. The tests are not over just yet. They will have a reprieve after this round, assuming that they get it done convincingly. But this round is certainly going to be a difficult one. And Emor lines them up. The timing, it looked like they wanted to try and go for a flash, and he gets a 3rd as well. He's just off to the races, taking heads left and right. And we were talking almost like ENCE were the firm favorites to take this round, where they've been obliterated. And the T's try to vacate the premises, but D catches them on the cross. He will lose his life, though, as a result. 1-4 trade may not bode very well for ENCE, but another perfectly timed flashbang as Spinks runs out of ammunition, but Madden's there to back him up. Emor gets aggressive, but Snappy will be dealing the fatal damage. And now Calyx stuck on the site, goes in for 1. If they peek him 1 by 1, he could very well clutch this one down. They nearly lined up. 36 HP for Hades remaining.
That win on Nuke was a statement. And sure, there's a caveat. Dia had a quiet game and whatnot, but those are just excuses. They got completely dominated. Speaking of dominated, Emor not really finding much here, and Hades, dangerous game, but he will manage to find himself some safety. He's going for a little bit of a jump peek there on the sandbags, and that is something that Woxic could catch if he goes for it again. Hades, you better not. You better not. And Woxic, if he just held the angle, if you watch someone like Zywoo hold an angle, Vince, he would just hold onto the spot where he is going for the jump. Utility getting deployed. Spinks at the crosser a little bit too high, trying to go for the wallbang, but then the double nades though, and it could actually do a lot of damage, but won't confirm the kill.
Oh, X-Cloud 20, Emor 36. They don't know this though. Must have a good idea though. Grenades on the site though did rip through the health bars of at least one player. They do have a smoke. They do have a kit. And they also have a flashbang. Where do they position this though? Spinks is still stuck on the back boxes. Flashbang through. Frag not forthcoming. And yet this is where Spinks can toss the smoke in and back away. Keep that AWP alive. They have tons of cash alongside it, but they want to play for the bigger picture, the longer haul if they need it. Oh, the timing is so brutal though. And
Seen stranger things transpire here. Xantares tucked on in, avoiding the spam from Snappy. Very smartly done by Xantares, and getting early control of the scaffolding position, but there is a player lying in wait nearby. Flash is not good though. Hades tucked on in. Sphinx is to find a second kill as well, and only 3 remain for ENCE. Make that 2.
Oh, they're dropping like flies right now, and although there's a bit of a resurgence, Snappy puts an end, and it's fitting as well. He had such a good CT.